All right, we are ready to go with the Fargo Public Library Board meeting for October 15th. We'll start first by taking attendance.
John Rodenbiker.
Wanda Minglecook.
Kristen Schipper.
And Amy Oren. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for approval?
I move approval of the order of the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion at all? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to number 2. We are looking at approval of the minutes from our September 17th meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
wonderful. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to public comment. All right, none today. Next is the staff report with Megan.
So you have my report in your packet. I'll just highlight some things. First, I want to talk about a couple service changes. So at the beginning of October, we raised our prices for black and white prints to 15 cents. They had been 10 cents since the 80s. And the cost of materials has gone up quite a bit. To lessen the load, we've also raised everybody gets so much of a printing balance every month. So that was $5, it's now $6. Most of our users don't ever surpass that limit, but there are some that go way, way over. So to help recoup our costs, prices went up 5 cents.
Wait, so each library card holder gets $5 or $6
Now $6
that
of
they
free
can
printing
use every month? Okay.
Print things at the library when your home printer runs out of ink.
Runs out of ink. Good to know. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that?
Did not know that.
Well, most of us learned something new today. Thank you.
Also, news for at the beginning of next year, we are going to be discontinuing Hoopla. As you've heard in previous months, the cost of Hoopla keeps going up, even as we've restricted checkouts. So that change will happen at the beginning of the year. The budget that was previously set aside to Hoopla will be put into Libby, so we can expand our offerings there. It is still more used service. In happier news, let's talk about some programs. Coming up on Thursday as part of the One Book, One Community event series is Warriors in the North. And that highlights a project that the Fargo VA has done over the past decade, working with veterans and helping them through trauma. We also have a few of their masks that they do as part of this program on display over at the main library if you want to stop by after the meeting. Later this month, we're partnering with the State Library for a scan day. So they're bringing equipment to the Carlson Library and help people who are working on their family histories scan documents, photos, things like that. Everybody that participates will get those digital images on a flash drive, and then those images will also be uploaded to Digital Horizons, which is a website put on mostly by the state archives and things like that, focusing on what life looked like in the upper Midwest from the late 1800s on, so that is neat. Moving into November, the Red River Modules Railroad Club is back the weekend of the 16th. They'll have their trains set up in the community room downtown for anyone to come and enjoy. And then there's also a train-themed story time that Saturday morning in the children's section. Also in November is a teen event showcasing zines. Zines were big in the 70s with the punk movement and then with indie rock in the 90s, and they are now popular again. So there's 2 sessions that kids can register for, one downtown and one at the Carlson location. And the last thing I want to mention is that we have 2 more weeks of jazz concerts. So come to the library on Sunday afternoons for jazz.
Great. Okay, any questions for Megan? No? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, moving over to our director's report.
Yes, per your packet there, the big item there is we're working with JLG Architects per Northport. The big thing, I got more information further on in the agenda, but just kind of really looking again in terms of a staff restroom and improving staff work area. And the really goal is to try and identify options and costs. And our second meeting with them is this coming Thursday, and at that point they'll provide options, and we'll have a more tighter plan going forward and where we need to get in terms of financing. If anybody has any other questions per the items on my report.
Okay. Any questions at all? Okay, there's no unfinished business. Moving on to new business. Letter A, adjustment to hours of service.
Yes, thank you very much. Working with the team, admin team, we were really concerned over the last 12 months and really looking at turnover, absenteeism, and kind of the impact, knowing, and I've had this conversation with the board before in regards to the understaffing. In the past 12 months, we've experienced the turnover of a library associate 3, librarian 1, outreach library associate 2, branch librarian 1, library associate 1, and another library associate 3. In terms of absenteeism, adult services, 21 of 31 weeks was impacted by unscheduled absences. Main circulation, 33 of 39 weeks impacted. Branch circulation, 22 of 39 weeks impacted. And part of that, is, as you know, back in late 21, 22, we worked with city HR to identify what we need just as a basic baseline of staffing. And they identified the 4 FTEs. Well, again, like I said, we got the 2, and we have not had any new positions since 2002. We did not get any new positions in 2005. Also, in the same time, our part-time folks in the past have been much more flexible to do additional shifts and cover and this kind of thing, whereas now, they'll give us their 20, which is perfectly legit, and it's one of those things, then we have to account for that. Some of the impacts that we have based on our current service hours is we have in the portion of the year that we have Sundays open, we have 5 to 6 staff weekly working 7 days a week, which is an issue. So what I want to propose to the board is going forward and looking at and changing our service hours to fit the economy of staffing. And what we have is be closed on Sundays all year round and change the main opening from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday. We have Beth Postma, Deputy Director here, that could walk the board, kind of give the detail of what that 7-day looks like, if that would be helpful for the board. Beth, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. I am seeing up on my screen here. I don't know if you see on screens in front of you.
Here it comes.
Oh, coming up.
There it be. Okay.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Yes. So we work within the city's personnel policy. And yes, emergency response is 7 days a week and 24/7, though the majority of other office staff and other city departments does not have the weekend hours that we do. So we have to kind of fit something in a work week that maybe isn't always quite designed for it. So these are not hypothetical. This is pretty well taken from 2 of my adult services staff, one of them being exempt and one of them non-exempt. And so you see in that top line, the exact staff member works days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday works 3 hours only, covering a night shift. And I am very, very grateful this person is willing to do that and cover yet another night. Friday is the complete day off. Then it's the full days, 9 to 6 on Saturday, 1 to 6 on Sunday. It's that 5 hours, but the city work week is defined as 40. There is no differential. There is no comp for a Sunday. So those 3 hours are what gets end up being made up elsewhere in that week, the Thursday night. But then we are at the start of a next work week. So you can't take Monday off after working the weekend. You have to work the next 40 hours. So that's where we get this 7 days straight, this Saturday of week 1 through Friday of week 2. For my non-exempt person, I use the example of what happens if you have all staff meetings or departmental meetings on our Friday mornings. And so that orphan, in that instance, 2.5 hours-ish, gets made up on a Friday morning to be able to attend a meeting. Our adult services staff at downtown have the responsibility of doing the exterior security perimeter check at close. So that's an additional 10 minutes with rounding rule on time clocks that goes up to 15. That has to be accounted for elsewhere in the week. As noted, the library has no budget funds for overtime whatsoever. So on a regularly scheduled basis, we have to account to not go into overtime, even if it is an 8.25-hour workday. So that is why you get some of those odd half hours. So in that instance, this individual then reports to work 8 days straight, a Friday through the following Friday. In both situations, you have people, if you take from Monday of the first week through the Friday of the second week, people are reporting 11 days out of 12. In past years, I have had some individuals opt to do 3 9-hour days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and have 2 full days off. But however, coverage schedules, meeting schedules don't always allow that to happen. In the second 2 lines, it's what would happen if we were closed on a Sunday. There is the breakup. There is no more the 7 days straight. In this instance, I put them both off on Friday, though it could be off on Thursday or Friday, but it does then give me additional coverage on Thursdays. And you can see how some of the hours play out from there. Does that chart make sense to you? Do you have questions?
Any questions on the chart?
I have a question. Yes. When we're looking at these and it's showing 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., are there breaks within there per the
Yes,
policy?
there is, by city policy, there's an hour lunch break that is unpaid.
Okay.
Also by FML, by Fair Labor Standards Act.
Okay.
And again,
Right.
we see this, the being closed on Sundays as not the optimal situation in terms of access. But as the director, I would be remiss, given the trends that we're seeing. And one of the things we're also running into is folks that go through the hiring process that are our number one candidate for the positions that are open. When they look at the schedule, they decline the position. That's telling. And I don't believe, and I understand the economy of staffing within a public agency in a large municipal, and that's very specific because it's very costly for the city. So at the same time, understaffing and its impact through the organization, we have to look at what is sustainable. What is the sustainable service based on the economy of the staff that we have? And in terms of the turnover, I think, if somebody doesn't have any more questions in regards to Beth's discussion, Branch Services Manager Lori West can kind of give a brief overview of kind of the situation in terms of hiring that we run into, and where it is extremely time consuming and the momentum of the organization is really hindered. Lori, if you want to talk about that quick.
Sure. So obviously hiring is very important. We want to get the right person on our team, and it does take a lot of time. There are many guidelines and policies that we need to follow per city, and the steps needed, many steps needed to take to get someone fully orientated or onboarded, I should say. So over the course of the past year, I've been either the lead or assistant on a hiring team for 8 of the open positions. I've had many of the positions open at the branches, folks moving on to different organizations and such. So we've been fortunate to have many external applicants for some of our openings, but regardless if it's an internal candidate or an external candidate, we have to go through, again, all of those same steps and follow the guidelines and everything. So it starts from a requisition to waiting for your pool of applicants to, till the deadline. We can get anywhere from maybe like 20 to, depends on the position, but can get 60 applicants. So reviewing all of those, that takes a large chunk of time. We'll have multiple staff doing that so that we can average and kind of compare. So again, then you're setting up interviews. You're arranging the rooms, you're doing the interviews, you're spending time afterwards to fill out the rubrics and things like that, and consulting with your other hiring team members. Once you do that, then as a conditional offer, lining them up through HR to do their pre-employment screenings, calling references, getting a hold of those folks, filling out forms, getting that information over to HR. Then full offers go out, and then you coordinate start dates and do IS onboarding forms and different things like that. So, and then of course you have to notify the folks, who didn't get hired. So it's a long, long process. As a hiring team lead, depending on the position, I would say I averaged between 12 to 20 hours filling a position. And that's just getting them to their first day. Then starts orientation. That would be, my folks would be with me. The training part that I pass off on to other staff members in my department. But it is impactful. So over this past year, like I said, I've done 8 of these, either head or assistant with other folks in different departments. And besides being short in branch, my branch staff, having these positions open, it's taken a toll. So I would like to see this move forward.
Any other questions?
So I have a question. Just to make sure that I'm fully understanding, what would these hours of operation for our public be for the 3 branches, should this change occur?
It would be essentially all the libraries opening at 10, Monday through Thursday. The big difference would be Maine opening at 10, Monday through Thursday, all year round. And that Carlson and Maine would not be open for Sunday hours, basically fall to spring.
Okay.
And again, the Sunday was identified because, per Beth's discussion, there's the 7 days a week issue. But the logic of scheduling, building that redundancy into the week, instead of that 5 on Sunday and the 3 orphans tucked in somewhere in the week, you change that to an 8-hour shift, which is a rational shift for everybody. That works an 8-hour shift. It's the least hours in terms of weekly hours to withdraw. So that would be the big change.
So basically right now, they're proposing no library will be available to anyone on Sundays at all anymore. Yeah.
Has it been open on Sundays for years?
I would say yes.
To me, with the usage getting more, and to take that away,
I would say that Well, when we look at the daily average for Sundays, if you want to answer the question in terms
Yes.
of timing.
For the most part, it has been open for Sundays for the majority of the 35 years that I've been here. There was the period during the pandemic where we were closed Sundays, 2021.
You know, the Sunday daily average for Carlson is 212. The Sunday daily average for Maine is 332 folks walking through the door on a daily Sunday average for 2024.
Okay, those are the updated figures, or those were the ones from 2019?
No, this is
It's
door count. This
door-
is door
door count,
count,
yeah.
folks coming
Okay.
through the door. And again, I don't see this as ideal. But again, I worry, I don't see with where the city is in every discussion in regards to budgets and staffing. I don't see us getting the staffing to make up for this situation as described to you. And we have too good a team for it to walk away, because then whatever momentum that we have as an organization goes away. We get in this cycle of hire, all the stuff that Lori talked about. And it just more and more, and that becomes, our momentum is just, we're chasing, and we have to, I like I said, as the director, I look at this and I really feel we have to focus on becoming sustainable, because then we can retain our people and we can still have momentum. We can still have community outreach on Sundays, community engagement events, and this kind of thing. It's just finding that good place where folks don't have to do that 7 days a week. I mean, 5 to 6 people a week, that's a lot. And then if you throw in the absenteeism and stuff like that, it becomes even more difficult. So it's not ideal, but the economy of what we've had to work with, and even though the baseline was identified like 3 years ago, and we have not had any movement, which tells me not to blame anybody, but we're not a priority when it comes to staffing in the city. And I understand there's an economy for that. And there's only a willingness so much in terms of the taxpayers and this kind of thing for supporting city services. And that a lot of that came out during the whole 2025 budget discussion. And I got a feeling in every discussion that that thought process in terms of that we haven't gone out of that. We're going to have several more cycles of city budgets that are going to focus on, if you want X, then you have to give up Y. And that's going to be the continuous thing. So I think I wanted to bring this to you because I think it's an opportunity for us to get to a sustainable level. Again, nothing optimal in this regard. It certainly would be a place for us to then really focus on sustainability going forward and have that conversation and continue to ask for additional staff, continue to plan, continue to do what we do to take this organization into the future. But we got to shore up where things are right now and start in 25. If there's any other questions.
President Orrin, I would move that the adjustment of library service hours to all locations be closed on Sundays year-round in the main library, begin opening at 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday, starting on January 1st of 2025.
I will second.
Okay.
And I'd just like to comment on this. To the director's point, we need to have sustainable staffing. We have quality programming, but that's at risk right now, and I'd rather we maintain quality programming rather than quantity of hours. And like every other city department, we have budget issues that we need to be aware of and cognizant. And I'm very well aware from my personal life of how important it is to be able to retain staff and to attract them. And I don't know how you're doing it right now with this kind of a schedule. And clearly it's been a problem. and I recognize that. And so I will support this change.
I'm hoping I think my biggest fear is like I don't want the city to be like, oh, you solved the problem. You got rid of Sundays. And I don't want that to become like hopefully a permanent forever solution. I always think that I'm a full-time working parent that has a very busy week, and like the weekends are my only opportunity for me to enjoy the library with my family. Like I fully understand and agree like with everything that's being discussed, but I don't want the city to be like, oh, now let's get rid of Saturdays. Oh, let's get rid of Fridays because we're gonna keep not supporting the library. So I hope we can just keep fighting like the good fight to try to, keep going. So this doesn't become like we have to continue to narrow down when this great library we have is available for the people to enjoy it in our community. Okay. Do we have a second for the motion then? Did you second it?
I did
can't remember.
second.
Okay. Any other discussion at all for this?
I just want to, I definitely agree with you that we have a fantastic library system that is seeing increased growth month over month, year over year in a growing and prosperous city. And it's disappointing that we're at this point, and we will need to continue to work with our city and our community to get the support that we need for the hours that we think this should be available.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right. Moving on to letter B, Northport project update.
Yeah, just kind of circling back to that. The door widening project will take place around the middle of November. The new carpeting squares are currently on order. We haven't quite got the meeting with the carpet installer and the moving firm yet. But to Amy's question at the last board meeting, through the miracle of modern technology in our integrated library system, we'll be able to hide the Northport collection so we won't have to climb over torn up carpet and glue and what have you into boxes of books or anything of that nature. So it'll all be hidden.
Disappear.
So, but everything else will be available. So
All right.
FYI on that. Happy news. The new display shelving that the staff up there picked out was supported by the Friends. So we're going to, that's currently on order, I believe. And new computer desks have been ordered for the Northport Library. As an old mover, I kept on harassing the staff saying, okay, when it gets to moving, if you got stuff that you have questions, get rid of it. We'll get new stuff. So we're happy about that. And the good folks on the north side deserve it. So that's what we got going up there.
Cool. Okay, any questions at all about the Northport project? Okay, moving on to our statistical report, September usage fees.
Yeah,
Or
starting out,
usage, not fees.
Yeah, you see in terms of attendance, year-to-date up 11% over last year, looking right around a little over 34,000 more folks than last year. Programs very well attended, you can see that, up 34% over last year, just less than 8,000 over. Volunteer hours are strong, God bless the volunteers. Internet sign up strong, you can see that, up 20% over last year. Electronic activity, this up 11% over last year. A lot of hits on the website, just under 20,000 increase. Circulation, we're still on par with to beat 2019 in terms of record year on that. And the 83,765 is a record for the month of September since we opened the 3 branches in 2009. So again, looking that we're just over 8% over last year, which represents an increase of almost 62,000 more items circulated. Any questions on that?
No? All right, financials, please.
Yeah, looking at the donation summary for September, We received a gift in donation received because of staff person's wonderful customer service. They were so impressed. They donated $25 to the library.
Nice.
I love that.
And also, of the 1,800, 1,000 of that is from the North Dakota State University Foundation for One Book, One Community. And the $800 is from the Friends for Crafternoons. Thank you, Friends. And North Dakota State University Foundation for One Book, One Community. On the expenditure side, the 525 was for billboards for One Book, One Community. The 849 expenditure, 550 of that is One Book, One Community, and 299 for Crafternoons. And the $30, again, thank you to the Friends for the staff recognition Way to Go cards for staff. That's what we got in terms of donation revenue and expenditures. And in terms of overall budget, with a whopping 75% of the year already over, just under 72% expended. Obviously, looking at that and opportunities to cover needs as we identify them. And in terms of operating revenue, we've surpassed what was estimated for 2024, topping over 25,000 through the end of September. So happy about that.
All right. Does the person that had the great customer service get a little like extra? I don't know.
Sure.
A little extra, I don't high five.
Absolutely.
Way to go card. Okay, any questions about financials? No? Okay. Anyone from Friends of the Library here? I want to hear how their book sale
Thank you,
went.
Friends.
Yeah. All right, our next meeting is November 19th, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.